But the Firebox started out as the wood flame. The wood flame was invented 20 years ago by Glenn Probst. Now, a couple of years ago, Glenn's son, Ben, came to me and he said, you know, the wood flame stove is an awesome stove, but I think that people would accept it a little bit better if it didn't slide together, if it didn't come into separate pieces. He wanted it to all be hinged, to be able to fold and collapse, and even have the fire grate, you can see the fire grate down in there, even have that be part of the whole folding mechanism. So I went to work on that, and I created the folding mechanism that the current Firebox uses. Just like that. And then the ash pan slides in down below. And you can use these fire sticks for a lot of different things, and I'll go into those details here in a second. But first I want to explain to you why we stuck with the basic geometry of the original wood flame grill, or the wood flame stove. I'm an inventor. I have a couple of patents, and I wanted to play with this design and see if there was anything I could do with it. So I got on the internet and I researched and I researched and I learned about rocket stoves, and I built rocket stoves. Here's a rocket stove I built. Here's another rocket stove I built. And I think I had one more that I built. And I played with ventilation and played with different things. And the rocket stoves actually worked really well. And they were efficient. But what I found was I was using up all my dimensional lumber. I kept on cutting up my scrap wood and splitting it because I needed straight wood to go into that feed chute. And around here, the only twigs and sticks I can find are gnarly. You know, they look more like this. So trying to feed this stuff into a chute, you end up spending a lot of time grooming the sticks and trying to get them straight enough and smooth enough that you can slide them into the chute. So I ended up using up all my dimensional lumber that way, and what I found was that it is more efficient, but not that much more efficient. And it's so bulky, and I'll tell you what, if you're not there to keep that fuel fed into that fire constantly, it'll burn out really fast. If you walk away from it just for a few minutes, you'll come back and your fire will be out and your stove will be cold. So I went ahead and looked at some other designs online, and I saw that quite a few of them were conical. They got smaller at the top. You can see this one has a side feed as well. I experimented with that, and what I found with these that didn't have the collar on the feed is that the fire kept wanting to creep out. If I built up any coals at all inside of here, the fire would creep out that side feed area. And then I also found that if I had holes all the way around, then the breeze could blow directly underneath my pot, and that would blow the heat out from underneath my pot. So I could really see a big advantage of having the solid sides just like the wood flame had. So that's why we stuck with that design. But I made a whole bunch of these conical shaped stoves. That's another one. Here's a little one I did. It had a side feed as well. Same problems. They'd load up with coals and then they would choke out. Now this one, I really thought that this one was going to work better than the Firebox. I thought this was going to become the new product that we would pursue. And I thought this conical shape would really focus that heat right up underneath the pot and really make it hot. But when I did a side-by-side burn test, and I had the same amount of water, the same type of fuel, we started the fires at the same time, the Firebox actually boiled the water well over a minute faster than this stove did. And I thought about that for a long time, and I tried to make sense of it and figure out why. See, this stove actually has a 6-inch burn chamber. This only has a 5-inch burn chamber. So this one actually had a bigger engine. And what I realized was that the conical shape was like the top of the stove is like your exhaust. It's like your exhaust pipe. And inside here, the burn chamber, that's like your engine. So this was like having a bigger engine but a smaller exhaust pipe. So it couldn't exhaust well enough, therefore it couldn't take the air in well enough, and it caused it to choke out. The other reason that I think the Firebox actually performed better is because of the radiant heat that comes from that fire. When it ignites, it releases a lot of radiant heat, just as though, you know, when you're sitting around a campfire and your blue jeans get so hot, that is all radiant heat. And so by making the top smaller, you're actually reducing the exposure of radiant heat to your pot. You're making that area smaller, and it's actually blocking some of that radiant heat. Now, the way the wood flame is set up, it's set up with the 2 high sides and the 2 low sides. And we kept that because it works so incredibly well. You can see you can feed it through the sides, so it is a side feed, but we feed it through the side top. Now, the advantages to that are you can go ahead and load that up. You can put quite a bit of wood in it, and then you can walk away from it for a little while. You don't have to sit and tend it all the time. Or if you want a really hot fire, you go ahead and load it up really big, and then you let it burn for a while, and then it'll burn down to some nice, beautiful hot coals that will be perfect for roasting marshmallows or hot dogs or anything else you want to put on your skewers. Your fire sticks actually work as great skewers. There's a lot of advantages to to the way this is designed. The orientation, the straight up and down sides, the 2 low versus the 2 high, and it allows you to use all different kinds of fuels. So it's got, I'm going to go ahead and build this fire up a little bit so you can see what it would be like if we did want to just have a little campfire, because it really honestly does give you the ambiance of sitting around a fire. Even though it is only 5 inches, I'll tell you what, a lot of fire comes up out of it. But if I had some hot coals here, I'd roast some marshmallows and do that as well. But we have to let that burn down. And once again, that's the advantage of this over a side feed. The side feed, you can't really build up hot coals to the point to where you could roast something on the top of it.